Hello everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling on August 11th, 2016, and, well, they started off the show. I'll just go ahead and start this show off by how they started off the show. They started off with a promo from EC3. EC3 comes out there. He starts talking about how he's going to Bound for Glory and everything like that. This does prompt Bobby Lashley to eventually come out. The two of them cut a relatively decent promo on each other. Of course, Lashley going off on everybody saying, just like on EC3, just like everybody else saying, he's like, you're not the one to beat me. You can't beat me. Everything in that sense. Good promo, good back and forth between the two of them. The one aspect that I really liked about the segment was that James Storm came out because they had the match later that night. So he started cutting his promo for tonight and everything. And it's like, hey, don't forget, I'm still right here. I've still got my shot at the world title here tonight and everything. In that sense, it leads. Eventually, James Storm goes Lashley into brawling with him outside by saying, "Hey," by just basically doing a normal type of insult. They start brawling out. Michael Bennett and Moose come out and attack EC3, and Eddie Edwards makes the save. This kind of clarifies or goes a little bit more into the aspect that they have the tag match with Eddie Edwards and EC3 and Michael Bennett and Moose, and instead of it being later in the evening like it was originally supposed to be planned, they decided to go ahead and do it right then and there. The match itself between Michael Bennett and Moose and EC3 and Eddie Edwards, pretty good match, decent tag team match. Decent tag team match here. Interesting to see EC3 do a dive outside of the ring. That's something he usually never does in there, but he played off of the Wolves spot that usually goes on that side. So interesting to see him do that there. Moose looked like he was about to get the pin, but a blind tag was made, and Michael Bennett gets in the pin. So you get this little perplexed look from Moose, like he was like, "Why is this? Why are you doing this?" Type of thing. So maybe they're trying to build tension. I don't think so. It seems like it would be awfully early to build tension between the two of them, because they kind of just started their formation and everything in that sense. So it seems weird that they would start building tension in any way, though they kind of do a thing backstage where Eddie Edwards confronts Moose and Michael Bennett, eventually making a match with Eddie Edwards and Moose for next week on the show. So you at least had that to go off on everything, and we'll see how everything goes with that. Like I said, it seems awfully early to build tension between Moose and Michael Bennett, but you never know where they're going to be hot-shotting this and everything, because it does seem like the fans are behind Moose already, in the terms of maybe even making him a babyface in that way. Up next, though, I'll go ahead and talk about this one right off the bat. We had a debut and a promo for the show, and that debut was, well, we know him as Damien Sandow, and it's like we've always known him as Damien Sandow. And in TNA, he's going to be going by Aron Rex. I believe this was the name he had gone through with Indies at a different time, or that might even be his real name. I forget off the top of my head. In that case, he did do a shoot style promo. I'm not going to lie about that. It was shoot style promo, but he did it in a way in which didn't irk me. Like, I'm not a big fan of going out there on live television and those people doing a full shoot promo. Like, the work shoot promos come off a little bit differently, but when it's a full shoot promo, I've never really been a big fan of that, where you're in one company and you're shooting on another company. I've never been a big fan of any of that, unless you do it right, which Mr. Aron Rex did. It wasn't like he was going out there and calling out people's names and, fully directly going about it. He was just getting off his gripes and how he felt and what he had been told. And again, never dropped a name, never said anything. Like I said, this shoot promo was done right. It was done well. and it also implied what his goals for TNA were and everything in that sense. I actually found this promo to be rather good. Good debut for Aron Rex, and we'll see how everything goes and see what changes he does for the character. Like, I liked how he still held the microphone like he'd be holding a glass of wine. Inside there was something he did with his original Damien Sandow. And I even like the aspect is like when the crowd says you're a genius, he said, "I've never had my IQ tested. That was only a thing I played." In there. I like how he at least went with something like that to go along with it. There was a couple things I really liked about it. It wasn't a bad shoot promo. Like I said, I was never a big fan of either like when WWE guys would do it on a TNA guy, but most people didn't know about TNA. I never was a big fan of them doing it over there, or even back when they would do it to WCW as well. I was never a big fan of those. I was never a big fan like during TNA's time where like Road Dogg and Billy Gunn would do something over in TNA, the spoof WWE. It was like directly spoofing them, and they would use real names and everything like that. I was never a big fan of those. So this shoot promo, I thought, came off rather well. Again, no true call-outs, just him getting his frustrations on the microphone and everything in that sense. Like I said, I thought it was done right, done good, and we hope to see a very, very good bit with Aron Rex down in the future here. You had a backstage segment with Gail Kim and Maria, so she was trying to figure out who her opponent was going to be. Maria makes a no disqualification match, and then Gail gets attacked by Marty Bell, so she finds out it's going to be against Marty Bell. The match with Marty Bell and Gail Kim is alright. It wasn't really that good from start to finish. Like, the most aspect that they did out of the no disqualification side of everything was that Allie or Maria would get involved. There wasn't much anything else that was used as a no disqualification style tool inside of the match. So that just kind of makes it alright to go along with it, but at least gives them a reason for the interference and everything like that. Afterwards, Allie and Marty and Maria were in the ring. They were trying to beat down Gail Kim after Gail Kim wins the match from not a distraction, but where Allie was trying to get in the ring to use the baton. She gets thrown into Marty Bell, and Gail Kim uses a small package to get in the pinfall and win the match. They were doing the beatdown afterwards, and Jade makes the save for Gail, and they're trying to do this whole aspect that maybe they're going to try to turn Jade in some way because now she has a match with Gail Kim for the next week. So we'll see how everything rolls with that. It should be an interesting way of going, because they'll probably do something that's like, oh, if you don't try in this match, you'll get fired or something in that sense. So we'll see how everything rolls down the road here. You had a segment from another one of like those outside of the arena type segments from Matt and Jeff Hardy, where Matt was driving up to Jeff and telling him about his odyssey of having to go after the World Tag Team titles and everything in that sense. And it's like, oh, I had a premonition that Decay tried to kidnap my son and everything like that. So now it was like their way of writing off Rebby and Maxwell from being in the arena in any way in that sense. And it's a whole aspect that, like, through the entire time, you feel like Matt is trying to do different things here. Now they're trying to, like, portray him as having some kind of power over things, and like even having a premonition or anything like that. It's like he has some kind of mystical power. So they have so he's like, you have another tag team match. They cut a promo in the actual ring itself. So it's like, just trying to get him is like to help him in matches, and we win the tag team titles the way that we used to. Is like, no, because of what happened when you broke your leg, you have to go at this by yourself. And because the whole aspect of the final deletion was that Matt Hardy owns everything in the terms of the Hardy name, so he can make the rules, do whatever he wants. So they have a match that night, and I love Al Snow's line. Just as an aspect of trying to play as much of a heel as possible, you had Al Snow coming out there. It's like, as the former mayor of Crazyville, I like what you're doing, Matt. That was a good line. Al Snow's good on the microphone, at least a lot better than what I ever remembered him being. But like in this role, he's been really, really good. So they had the match with the Tribunal and, well, quote unquote, Matt and Jeff, but it's mostly Jeff in the ring. The entire time outside of the ring, you have this guy, you have a fan that was holding up a sign saying Jeff Hardy is not obsolete. And of course, they're going to play something off of that with Matt. Last week they had him bite a fan, which was really weird. This week, like I said, they're trying to say he's like hypnotizing or has powers over people and everything in that sense. And like to a certain extent, it's kind of funny and everything with how everything's going. So instead of like attacking the fan, he kind of stares down the fan, and the fan takes down the sign and starts doing the delete motion that that Matt Hardy was doing, and the fan was going like delete, 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 and everything. And it's like, God, this character is so crazy over the top. It's actually a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, the Matt Hardy stuff is fun. Al Snow kind of plays off of this too a little bit, and then Matt Hardy kind of turns on him, bites him, and then goes after Mark. I never get their names right now. I never get their names right. I just call him Sylvester Lafore and Marcus Louis. So he goes after Marcus Louis and beats him down, and Jeff gets the win inside the ring with a twist of fate to go along with it. After the match, it's like Matt gets back on the microphone and it's like, finally, you're showing some passion. And it's like, passion? You want to see passion? And he starts just doing twist of fates to everybody and everything like this. Like, it was like to the point it's like he was almost like to the point that like Matt was liking what he was seeing and everything like that. And like I said, Matt had been trying to push Jeff Hardy to be a broken or kind of broken in some way, or to accept that he's no longer Jeff Hardy, he's only Brother Nero. Which that's how the segment is. After he puts Al Snow through a table, there's a second table set up, and Jeff like just swantons through it, like Matt has full control over him, and and the entire time he's calling himself Brother Nero. It's like, Matt's like, you're finally broken. In that sense, this was a relatively good segment. Like I said, over the top. But this was good over the top. This was a good over the top. I actually thoroughly enjoyed this one. You had a promo backstage. The next two segments were pretty much promos from One Decay, basically about like the tag team match that was set for the next week, where you have 4 teams going after a shot at the World Tag Team titles in a ladder match. I believe it's Matt and Jeff. You have the Tribunal, and the other 2 teams are like off the top of my head, I forget who they are. Like, obviously they'll be in there for the next week. I wish I remember who they were off the top of my head here. But there's 2 more teams to go along with it, and they were cutting a promo on that, and with what happened with Bram from the week before to go along with it. This is a very good promo from Decay. I actually thoroughly like this, and it's good to see Decay and back in their way that they were doing everything beforehand. So, good way of going here. Up next was a Drew Galloway promo. Drew Galloway basically saying, like, oh, you hadn't seen me for the last couple weeks for good reason because I was just that furious and everything like that. Cutting his promo on EC3 about how he had, he was saying that he was a snake in the grass, and he was, they had screwed him out of his title shots and everything in that sense. Though they're playing him off as accidents, like, Drew's not buying into it at this point in the terms of the story. So he challenges EC3 to at the end of it. This is like with great vigor, great passion from Drew Galloway. It's like challenges EC3 to put his title shot on the line against him in a one-on-one match. So you hear nothing from EC3 at this point, so you assume they're going to be doing something down the road there with that here in the very near future to go along with everything. So before getting into the main event, there were a few segments that aired on the show. One with Bobby Lashley, and 3 with James Storm. Like, they did this like little follow interview and everything, like James Storm talking about what it's meant to him to finally get another world title shot after 5 years and everything in that sense. Really good stuff. Really good. Like they were teasing this really well that, hey, Storm's going to be winning tonight in some way, shape, or form. You even get a backstage segment saying with Bobby Lashley with Billy Corgan and Dixie Carter saying them going off is like, I know you, Dixie. You're good friends with Storm, and I feel like the fixes, and I see these interviews and these promos and everything like that. It's like, well, we offered you the same thing, and it was like, and you said no. And and Lashley was like, well, that's because I do all my talking in the ring. So they were trying to play it off like, in that sense, like that maybe almost maybe a fix was in or something like that in some way, shape, or form to go along with it for James Storm. So they were going off of that. So they get out there for the match. They're doing the in-ring introductions. Bobby Lashley attacks James Storm before the bell, and obviously the referee's trying to get Jeremy Borash out of the ring. So at this time, like, this was a great tease back to what happened when James Storm won the world title against Kurt Angle. If anybody actually remember that, it was like he hits a last call super kick really early on and got the pinfall in that match. They do this here, but obviously like the referee's distracted and still has to ring the bell for the match to start. So Storm this time only gets the 2 count in there. So they go throughout the normal match. This was a good match from both of them. From both sides here. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. It looked hard-hitting. It was really well done on all sides. I liked the teases again throughout the entire match of Storm potentially winning the match, even getting like 2 last call super kicks in and still didn't win. But also the aspect that, okay, Lashley's getting a kick out of my finisher. Like, he needs to kick out of his to at least look strong throughout the entire time. So he kicks out of the spear at least once in there, and eventually leads to I think Storm was going for a submission or something like that. He gets kicked off actually he was going for a roll up. Lashley pulls the turnbuckle off of the ring of the corner, and Storm gets his head rammed into an exposed turnbuckle, and then leads to the final spear that allows Lashley to gain all the gold, basically. So Lashley's done what he said he was going to do. He was going to gain all the singles gold. He has the X Division title. He has the world title. He has the King of the Mountain title. He has it all. This was a good match. I thoroughly enjoyed the story that they told throughout this match, and leading into the match itself, too. The stuff with James Storm, even the stuff with Lashley being around there to go along with it in the backstage. It just came off really well. The aspect of Lashley going over, I expected Lashley to go over in this one because it had been a while since they had done this. Like, they had done this whole aspect of someone garnering pretty much all of the titles back when Kurt Angle did it with the X Division and the World Title and the Tag Team titles. So now, like, Lashley has all 3 of the singles titles to go along with it. But like I said, really good match between the two of them. I thoroughly enjoyed the story throughout the entire match and leading into the match. It was well put together and well done. And they end the night with a little, like I said earlier. It was like Aron Rex said what his purpose in TNA was to go after major titles and everything. So you had Aron Rex doing a stare down from the rampway. So it almost feels like, is he the next opponent, or how are they going to work Aron Rex into this in some way, shape, or form? So we'll see how everything goes on that side. Overall, this week's Impact, actually thoroughly enjoyable. I really don't have a segment that says, oh, this was just horrendous or anything in that sense. It came off as a relatively good show throughout the entire time. Most of the matches, I would say, were relatively good, though there weren't that many matches to go along with it. Go along with the show. A lot of this stuff was promo based and leading into what you're going to be seeing going into their run to Bound for Glory and everything like that, which they finally have a date for. They gave it for October 2nd. No, that's what I was asking like a week or so ago. I was like, when is Bound for Glory? Shouldn't they have already announced a date for this? Well, they've announced a date for it now, so at least you have an idea of where things are going to be going here in the very near future. So that is my review this week for TNA Impact Wrestling. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.